This car just got towed all the way from Georgia. It's mainly a clutch and suspension that it's here for. But we notice the clutch is absolutely solid. The pedal doesn't move. So somebody has put a master and a slave on this already and tried bleeding the fluid, but obviously it's more than that. We're thinking the clutch has broke. He purchased a clutch in our store already and had it shipped to him. So he's brought that with him along with the suspension. So we'll install that, a couple of extra parts he's added. It's actually cool to see what our package looks like. So this obviously got shipped to him and he didn't open it, so I got to open it. And it kind of reassures us that we're doing a good job packing. Everything looks good, nothing's squashed, nothing's beat up. Even ordered a silver stitched shift boot, which we'll see if we can install that. This is one of our oil filter tools. Obviously we'll just put that back in his trunk. We are doing an oil change, but we'll use ours. We'll keep his nice and clean for him, so he's the first one to use it. Ohlins suspension, obviously you guys know this is probably one of the best suspension systems there is. Plus they sell it in pieces, which I don't know if this is just so you can get to know your suspension or you're laid out on your mat and take pictures of it like we do. This is something that we all like to do. For one, make sure everything is there, because people tend to open their own boxes and take bits out and take a look at it and leave things and don't put it back in the box. So it's kind of a good thing to check it over. That's the adjustment keys right here. I'm going to go ahead and assemble this, and I'll show you a quick picture of it when it's done. And then of course we'll talk about the height of the car. He wants it a little higher than it is right now because it's low in the back, but this stuff is infinitely adjustable. So we pulled the transmission back, and the first thing you're going to notice is those fingers, the diaphragm fingers, are angled way in. That's usually an indication that it's trashed right there, and it's gripping the release bearing really tight. When they're out in the usual position, that release bearing should be loose. So we'll take all this apart, we'll take a look at the flywheel. It's going to have to be resurfaced. We do have a resurfaced flywheel in stock that we'll just switch out if this one is in good shape, and put the new clutch in. We'll show you what it looks like. There is your clutch disc right there. It's absolutely destroyed. It's down to the rivets and beyond. This thing's pretty well burnt. You see there's a lot of material in there. Flywheel doesn't look too bad. A little burnt, doesn't look like it's got cracks in it. We'll take it off, we'll do a closer inspection before we do anything with it. This is something that I keep seeing people talk about. They keep thinking that this bearing should be tight. It's not supposed to be tight. It should be sitting in this area right here. There is kind of a recess in the bearing. If it's tight, the fingers are often touching this surface area here, which pulls that bearing and cocks it. It doesn't want to be tight. OEM clutches, the Clutch Masters FX300, they all should look like this. These fingers should look fairly straight. Obviously this is a pull style clutch, so the fork is pulling this bearing out, which pulls these fingers away, but this should be close to flat on a good clutch. One issue we just found was this front hole was completely stripped out. There was a bolt in it, but it wasn't doing anything. So right now we're in the process of putting a Healy coil in there so we can run that standard size Honda bolt. So as you see, we've already drilled it and tapped it. Now we're just going to put the Healy coil in, and then it's ready to go back together. More Uncle Ray news. This is stuff that George just got shipped here. Can you give us a quick rundown of it?
So this is actually all Civic SI in Canada, which is technically our EX, but it has this kind of fake carbon, kind of reminiscent of the US Type R and the Japanese Type R. So when he sent me this, because I needed the boot, he sent me that picture, and I'm like, what is that from? So he's like, oh, it's an SI. He's from Canada, so I'd never heard of it. So I said, send me all of it.
I didn't know any of this existed.
Yeah, and we got a brake and clutch.
They even included the bolts and the switches. Look at that.
Yeah.
You want to give him a shout out?
Yeah, this is Ricketts Garage on Instagram. I believe he has a YouTube as well. He's L15 swapping a right-hand drive Integra Type R.
Nice.
Pretty neat project.
That is awesome. Uncle Ray project continues, guys. Stay tuned. Subscribe, like, share.
They're tight.
So this is something that's completely random. A lot of people ask us, hey, I have a 05. Do you think my lifters are loose or tight? Well, we see them all over the place, especially when they've been to other shops or even dealerships. They will be too loose, too tight, and everywhere in between.
Usually the dealership is too tight because they want the car quiet.
Otherwise, you pick it up and you go, wow, it doesn't sound any better. So they tend to run them on the tight side, which is bad. So this is based on our measurements. It's pretty close. It's perfect in the front actually, but in the back, it's a little droopy. I don't want to coin that term, but I kind of call it droopy when it's a little low. It kind of looks like that hangs over the tire, kind of like a droopy eye. So we'll measure it, but it looks maybe about 3/8 of an inch in the back. It needs to go up, but that front, that's awesome. All right, now we are on the money. This is our height, by the way. If you ever see our cars, this is pretty much the height we like to go with. It's got the lowered look, but you're not running into camber issues. The lower you go, obviously the more camber you're going to get. You need adjustable arms to compensate. We like to go to the point where you don't need to use that. So that's it. Just confirm that it can come off the lift. We'll verify the clutch. We just finished bleeding the system and put fresh fluid in there. We can make sure the adjustment's correct. That's better already. It's a huge improvement.
Yeah, from not working at all.
Yeah. It's one of those things you take for granted. This car's been sitting for a while, as you can see by the rotors, because it's had issues with the clutch. So it makes such the difference, get it back and be able to drive it, right? So that rust will come off as soon as he drives it. Uses the brake a couple of times. This is just to remind us that we're going to double check the wheels and torque it. But this one is pretty much done. We'll road test it, make sure everything is happy, and then it's ready to go back. We will do a full video on this car. We've been building a turbo kit in the background for a while. Last thing we just did was the oil cooler kit, because we're taking the factory oil cooler kit, make it a little bit more efficient. We're doing the oil cooler right here. It's a Cetrab, and then we have our oil filter relocation kit, so it's nice and convenient to change. You see the hole in the plastic right there? Everything good?
Oh yeah, real good.
Oh, he's going to be happy. And we didn't need to sell him a slave. I think he had a couple of things on his list that he wanted in case they were bad, and they were not bad.
Yeah, I wanted to look over the car because of camber wear, but I think it's just the alignment.
It was very low.
Yeah, everything looks good.
Yeah, the brakes looked like there's about 30% on the pad. Now you've run it, most of that rust has come off. The brakes feel okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't look bad. I mean, there's probably 30-40%, but I think he'll be happy with what we've done. All right, it's ready to pick up. Just waiting for the customer to come and get it. It's a beautiful day here in Florida. It's about to get cold again. We have another cold front going through. George drove his car here this morning. Uncle Ray project is in full effect. He's building parts, gathering parts. So follow him on Instagram if you want to see more of that. We will be doing a full episode on that when it comes to swapping the K-motor. This is K-Series Turbo. If you look on our channel through the playlist, you'll see the build on this. We did a step-by-step, as well as a few bolt-ons with before and after dynos. Give you an idea what it takes and what kind of power it makes for each part. But thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Don't forget, enjoy your cars.